Snap Studios.
Did you know Radiolab has a new podcast about nature? Well, now you do. It's called Terrestrials. It's family-friendly. We occasionally sing on it. And it's hosted by me, Lulu Miller. On every episode, we take a walk in the wild to meet a plant or animal behaving in ways that might shake your sense of how nature is supposed to work. Squirrels that can completely regrow their brains. Ferocious eagles that hide a surprisingly soft side. Search for Radiolab for Kids wherever you listen to podcasts and get the newest episodes of Terrestrials today.
Sterling Cuneo was sentenced to life without parole as a teenager. Decades later, his fate lies in the hands of the parole board. Can people really change? PRX presents Cell Blocks to Mountaintops, a podcast and video series that examines how America addresses violence and seeks accountability, told through one man's relentless pursuit of redemption. Reviewers have raved. I was on the edge of my seat. I could not stop listening. Binge the entire series now wherever you get your podcast. Visit cellblockstomountaintops.com for more information. Okay, so there was an incident. Happened back in the day. Different versions of the story are out there floating around. Hurtful slander and lies, most of it, from people who weren't even there. Some say it's a mystery we'll never fully understand, but I'm going to tell you what actually happened. Grand Valley State University dorm room. Now, I can cut hair, right? It's my side hustle, a little extra cash. The basics, a fade, a trim, a haircut, not a hair show. It's Friday, late afternoon. Fellas start arriving to get their touch up for the weekend. Want to look good for the ladies. There are exactly 6 people in the room, hanging out, talking stuff. That's when school rolls through. With his enormous 1965 Black Panther afro. It's a thing of art, right? Hey, brother, can I get a touch-up? No problem, Scoob. Have a seat. Now, this is important. Scoob is a funny guy. He's funny, but he's not crazy, falling all over the place, lose your mind funny. Just a funny guy. Remember this, because it's important to our tale. And I've got my electric clippers. I'm going to work on his fro. And Scoob is cracking jokes. Everybody's laughing. Scoob's laughing. And this is where it happens. In the middle of the haircut, me holding the clippers, Scoob says something he thinks is extraordinarily funny and suddenly cocks back his head crazy to guffaw at his own joke. Zzz. Then the laughing stops because there's a piece of fro on the ground and there's a huge hole in the fro on his head. Pandemonium ensues. Scoob howls. Everybody's shouting. I'm not equipped to deal with this situation. Somebody's screaming that I need to glue his hair back on his head. I don't know how to do that. Everybody's pointing fingers. Some say Scoob is so funny that I just lost my mind laughing and started waving electric clippers all over the place willy-nilly. Outrageous. Others claim Scoob didn't cock his head back. He was pushed. Raj talking about it must have been a second pair of clippers involved. Please. When the dust settles, there's an angry Scoob. There's 17 different stories tearing around campus. And this is the most important thing. And nobody tipped me out. Today, from KQED Snap Studio, Snap Judgment proudly presents We Have a Problem. My name is Glenn Washington. Please keep your head perfectly still in the barber chair. And when you're listening, listen to Snap Judgment. We begin the best way there is to begin, with a road trip. Lamarr Todd, a struggling young comic, and he finally gets his big break. A chance to take two of his best friends on the road with him to perform with some of their comedy idols. What, dear listeners, could possibly go wrong? Snap Judgment.
Back when I was a kid, we just wanted to do our own thing. You just don't want to work a 9-to-5. We saw examples of older men in front of us that were miserable with their careers or jobs or businesses that they had, but they had to do it. They had to provide for their families. If you're not working a 9-to-5, it's not too many options in the hood. You're selling weed, coke, scamming, and I was horrible at all of those things. I got robbed, came home, and my apartment was just ransacked. My friends, they found out who did it. And they're like, yo, you want to go ahead and handle him? I'm like, this guy got to die now because I lost like $800? I'll take a pass on killing him. Like, I didn't have all the qualifications to be a good drug dealer. So I tried a bunch of stuff, man. I tried cleaning business. I did telemarketing for about 3 years. I got into collections. Collections is easy. You sit at a cubicle and you just get cussed out all day long. I wasn't good at collecting the money. I was kind of like the funny guy at work. And I just started playing around with comedy, going to open mics. One day, man, I'm at my desk. They called me into the conference room. They pulled me in and they said, we're going to let you go. I'm like, oh, wow. So they walked me over to my cubicle. So the head of the company, he's right over my shoulder. And he says, maybe it's a good time for you to start that comedy thing. I'm putting pictures of my family in the box. I'm just like, okay, thank you, man. I mean, I'm living in Philly and I'm on unemployment. I didn't have anything else to really do, so I had to actually try out comedy. I knew a few promoters and stuff like that. And one of those promoters was a guy named Rail. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Rail. He wasn't a comedian, but he produced a bunch of comedy shows around Philly at that time. And like, he found the venues, hired the comics, worked out the money. And he got big names, like people you've heard of, you know what I mean? He seemed connected in the business and he provided opportunities for young comics. So one day, this guy, Rail, he comes to me with this deal. He has a comedy show going on in South Carolina, Greenville, in August, with Cool Bubba Ice. And he's amazing. He's been on like BG Comic View and stuff like that. He's been on a bunch of hit shows.
So then I get home, my house all wrecked up because I got a dog and a cat and they never get along. My cat acts like Tony Montana from Scarface. I'm gonna tell you something, man. I'm the pussycat, okay?
And then you got Reginald Ballard, who played Bruh on the hit show Martin on Fox.
Y'all just don't know how to eat. I scraped the mold right off and sure enough had me a wish sandwich.
What's a wish sandwich, bro, man?
Wish I had some meat to go up on it.
And Rail, he's like, hey, you can take this ride with me. You can do a few minutes at the top of the show. I couldn't believe I was getting a chance to perform with Bruh. I mean, Bruh was not just like famous. He was like an icon, especially in black community. I was like, let's do this. Then he told me, hey, you know any other comedians that you want to rock out with on there? Because I could probably use about 2 more openers. Oh my God, I get to put my boys on too. First 2 people I thought of was my boy Matt Black.
So Lamarr calls me, right? He like, yo, bro, you ready? So I was like, all right, yeah, I'm ready. What's up?
And my friend Ken Jones.
What up, though? I'm Ken Jones, comedian.
At this point, nobody's asking about how much we're getting paid, anything. We just happy, just get me into action. So here's the plan. Rail is going to pick us up from Philly and drive us all the way to Greenville, South Carolina. So in the morning, we're supposed to leave. I got all my bags packed and everything. I got my notebook and I got my comedy Bible, a book by Judy Carter that changed my whole writing style, introduced me to how to write about myself. My girlfriend is wishing me a goodbye. I say bye to my pets. I never leave the house, you know what I mean? So I'm excited. I see this car pull up, man. There was a white car wrapped with Rail's face all the way around it and his logo, 95 North, real big in diamonds wrapped around the front. And it was a small car. It was like a Chevy Cobalt or something like that, man. I guess this is what you do at this level. You know what I mean? It's another level that I don't know about where you wrap your face around cars. I can't ask too many questions. Who am I? I just started comedy. I've just put that to the side and just hopped in for the ride. Now it's time to go get Matt.
I knew this was real because this man pulled up with his face on the side of the vehicle. I was in awe. It ain't Bruh Man face or Cool Bubba Ice. I thought he was that big that he could do that. Get my bags, we get in. Is Rail driving? No. Lamarr's driving. And Rail's in the passenger seat. Like the boss he is.
And Ken and Matt are in the back. The mood is cool. It's a sunny day. We're pumped up. I used to make beats back in the day. Me, Ken, and Matt. Like freestyle off of the beats. Never before seen. Never before seen. That's what we kept saying. Never before seen. Me and my team.
Never before seen. We on the scene. And for some reason that stuck in Lamarr's head. Never before seen. We was just so happy. It didn't matter what it was.
Joking about hip-hop, teasing each other. I used to wear suit jackets and stuff like that. I thought this was what a comic looked like. Matt brought up this one time I had on a plaid tie and a plaid blazer. He said that I looked like a ventriloquist. Matt is fun to make fun of because I am also from the streets, but I wasn't as active in those territories as Matthew was. There's a sense when sometimes his phone number just changes. And no lie, I have about 8 black phone numbers. He still had a Rottweiler, and he was always available during the day. Rail was kind of quiet, kind of laughing or kind of participating, and he's in his phone too. He must be handling like some deals over here on his phone. And now, here's the other thing you need to know about Rail. The main thing is that he looks just like a very famous comedian named Kevin Hart.
Just like Kevin Hart.
Like a chubby Kevin Hart.
And no one is sure exactly what the relationship is, but they have to be related. And the reason I think that is because Rail has a picture with Kev on his Facebook page, like his profile picture. And he's like hugged up with Kevin Hart in the picture. They're like brothers in the picture. But it's just something you just don't ask because you don't know him, and I want to kind of play it cool.
Sky is obviously connected. He's with Kevin Hart. Kev's from North Philly. Everybody know he had a brother in North Philly. He knows how to not talk. He knows that he's this enigma, and he allowed everybody to just assume what they wanted to assume.
We get there to the hotel in South Carolina, and we find out that Cool Bubba Ice is at the airport, but he doesn't have a ride to the hotel. I'm thinking like, all this stuff is taken care of. Matt and Rail, they go to the airport to go pick up Bruh Man and Cool Bubba Ice.
We pull up in a Rail mobile. Bruh Man was upset. He wouldn't look up out of his phone when he talked. He didn't even want to look at this guy. He just said, wow. Cool Bubba Ice showed up, sees the car, and they're like, we're not driving in that. I must admit now, it didn't seem as next level when Brother Man pointed it out.
When Matt gets back to the hotel, he tells me he ended up having to pay $112 to put Bruh Man and Cool Bubba Ice in the cab because they didn't want to ride in the Rail mobile. And I'm like, why are you paying for his cab? We're not even getting paid for anything here. But I don't want to mess anything up before the show. And I'm assuming that Rail is going to cover this. So now it's time for the show. Me and Matt, we sharing a room together. We getting fresh. It's smelling like a whole lot of cologne and conditioners in there. And then they give us a call. Your ride is outside. Like, what's going to be out there? You know what I mean? Like another cab. We having the railmobile. No. We get downstairs to the lobby, and there's a Benz SUV waiting for us outside.
This is definitely not for us. And it was. We jumped in the car, man. Boom, boom.
Oh, man, nice little peanut butter leather seats. I know I haven't done a whole lot in the comedy game, but right now it's our time. So we pull up to the club, man. Bruh, man, made an appearance on the radio station. And there was a line outside. Go through security. One of the security guards was this big light-skinned dude, like, who just looked kind of angry.
I walk by this light-skinned cat, and I look at him, and he's so pensive. I'm like, you got all the accessories. Everybody laughed, and he just did not laugh.
The audience is in there, they're packed. I see a flyer on the table. There's a picture of Kevin Hart there for his book signing that he has the next day, that Sunday. So I'm like, man, Kevin Hart come here the next day? Like, this is going to be crazy. This weekend is lit.
They escort us to a VIP, which is in the center of the length of the club, behind this sheer curtain like Golden Child. So we go down there and we sit. They start bringing us champagne and whole bottles of liquor. We was just living it up until our time to perform. So they announced Kevin Hart's brother is in the house. And he's bringing y'all, these comedians. We're going to have a great time. And I'm like, yeah, bet, man. I'm rolling with Kevin Hart's brother.
When Snap returns, Lamarr and his buddies take the stage. Stay tuned. Snap Judgment is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations. When you hear people speaking about race and identity, I feel like too often they switch into some sort of weird babble that is not really English. It's not really real. It's preachy, it's sanitized, or it's crazy. But on Code Switch, they speak English like regular people, like you would speak to your friends and to your family about things that really matter. How race and identity shape your world in surprising, funny, and confusing ways. Like, what makes a good race joke? Or as a premium nerd, I really dug the discussion about race in fantasy realms like Dungeons and Dragons. So often listening to this show, they say what I was only thinking, or really, what I wished I had been thinking if I was funny and clever. It's not about race and identity in some sanitized nowhere. They keep it real about how things work here at home. In fact, Code Switch recently did an episode of What If Your Church Doesn't Like You Back? I was like, did they grow up next to me? Listen now to Code Switch from NPR, wherever you get your podcast. Welcome back to Snap Judgment, the We Have a Problem episode. Last we left, the Railmobile had finally delivered Lamarr and his friends to the South Carolina Comedy Club. Please ignore any and all red flags posted along the way because this is amping up to be the very best night of their lives. Snap Judgment.
I host it. I just wake up the crowd. I do this thing called Let Me See Those Hands. It's like a reference to a song. Let me see those hands. Let me see those hands. Let me see those hands. Let me see it. Come on. Hold up. The audience replies and they say, wait a minute. Yo, man, that song get on my nerves, man. It make everybody put your hands in the air for stuff that nobody else needs to know about, like how much money I got. You got a $100 bill, put your hands up. You got a $50 bill, put your hands up. You got an EBT card, put your hands up. It works every time, and it's like, okay, you guys are with me now. Let me try these other jokes.
The lineup was Ken go up first, I go up second, Cool Bubba Ice will go up third, and we'll bring it home with Bruh Man.
Ken had a lot on his mind, just our environment. South Carolina at the club.
I had a chair and I kept slamming that chair down for no reason. I talked about the whole venue. I talked about the whole ride, the trip, but it was a great show.
Right after that, Matt got up, talked about just real hood stuff, talking about getting pulled over from the cops, talked about his time in prison, and talked about prison phone calls.
J-Play is taking over, but they gotta have minutes. If you ain't got no minutes, then you toe up. But they got a little trick they do now. Got a little trick. When the operator come in, and you're supposed to say your name, they be like, you have a collect call from, tell my mom don't come up, her name ain't on the list. The State Correctional Facility at Frankville. Greater Fool.
Rel is in the back talking to the owners of the club. He's not paying too much attention to the actual show. I think he's always thinking about his next move. Cool Bubba Ice, he does impressions. He does sound effects. It's like a black Jim Carrey type of thing. If you say Cool Bubba Ice to a black comic, they know just who you're talking about. He's always booked on a circuit. It's a chitlin circuit from way back in the day. White people, they got their little circuit too. I don't know what they call it. It's like pumpkin spice circuit. So now it's time to bring up Bruh Man.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage, this guy right here, you've seen him on the hit show Martin. And you've all seen him on the Bernie Mac show. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together right now. Start clapping right now. Start clapping right now. Start clapping right now. You. Start clapping right now. Give it up for Mr. Reginald Ballard, a.k.a. Bruh Man!
And then he comes and grabs the mic. It's like, hey, y'all. He got up there and it was a totally different vibe than Cool Bubba Ice. He was calm. He brought the audience down to his level. And more people were listening. Kills the set, closes out. Then we all rush up to the stage. We take our pictures. We're all chilling with Bruh Man. Now I got my picture for Instagram. So I grab the microphone. I say, shout out to Cool Bubba Ice. Shout out to Bruh Man. Shout out to Matt Black and Ken. Everybody give it up for them. And ladies and gentlemen, we just getting this thing started. Because you know after the party, it's time for the after party. Hit it, DJ. The DJ hit it.
We kicked it in VIP the rest of the night. Rel had a little lady. We went back to the hotel and called it a night. The next morning, I'm laying in bed. I'm like, wow, man, this really happened. You know what I'm saying?
We woke up. I forgot Matt could cut hair. Matt had clippers with him. He gave me a shape up. And so everything was just chill. So we get a knock at the door. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, housekeeping is here kind of early. Matt gets the door. It's not housekeeping.
Jump up, and it's Rel.
Rel's looking pretty rough, to say the least.
I don't got no shirt on. And Rel says, we have a problem.
We have a problem. He's saying that standing there with no shirt on. What the hell does we mean? We just got a haircut and we're about to go ahead and get some Waffle House, but we don't have problems.
And at this point, I'm like, there could be a plethora of things. But you're standing here and his nipples is out. Talking about we have a problem. And in my mind, I'm like, no, you do. You're not dressed. So I say, okay, what's wrong? Rel said, come on, man. These dudes got my keys, got my ID.
He's saying that the club owner took his ID and his keys. I'm like, yeah, so why do they do that? And he's like, man, I don't know. This sounds like a you problem right here. Matt still, man, he goes out there to help Rel. I feel obligated to go ahead and make sure Matt's okay. So I walk out into the hallway. I'm following Matt.
Rel kind of leads me. I'm thinking he got robbed. I'm thinking something like the girl took off with his stuff. What I was actually about to witness was not in my head. once I got up to the elevators, we were standing in the foyer. So, of course, Lamarr, Ken, and myself was there.
We're on the 3rd floor, and this is where the elevators are in the hallway. In the middle of that are 5 people. One of them being Rail. Another was a club owner. And I saw the light-skinned security guy from the club last night. And I also saw a guy with one arm. I don't know how the arm was missing, but he looked kind of dangerous. It looked like he wasn't scared of losing another arm.
The one-armed guy said, we try to talk about this money. They were the money people, financiers or backers or whoever they were.
The whole thing looks just bad for real. Matt is talking to the security guy and the owner. We need this stuff because it's very serious that we have a license and keys to get back home. We 4 black men driving in a Chevy Cobalt with a black face wrapped around it. I had the fear of getting pulled over by a cop. Ken's right up the hallway. He's standing off. And Ken is being Ken, trying to make a joke about everything, trying to lighten up the mood. And he says, hey, I got girls and candy, y'all.
We ain't gotta do all this. We could all have a good time. And it was dead silent.
It was like a little kid just yelling out random stuff. I'm like, yo, dude, not the time.
Lamarr, literally, I haven't seen him this serious ever.
And that's when I saw the security guard had a gun on him.
The light-skinned guy that I thought was a little too serious. His gun was out. At that point, I was like, yeah. This is definitely a problem.
What are we supposed to do?
So the club owner was like, yo, man, do you think you can get him to take down that tweet? And Rail was like, it's kind of hard getting in touch with him right now, but I'm going to get Kevin to, take care of it. So I realized they talking about a tweet from Kevin Hart. Ken actually shows us a tweet from Kev. Kevin Hart posted, hey, I'm in Toronto, not going to be in South Carolina doing a book signing at all. And he said that he has nothing to do with it. The club owner was like, hey, man, Kev was never coming. It's all starting to come together now. All the tumblers falling into place. Rail convinced the club that he was Kevin Hart's brother based on his resemblance in that Facebook picture. And Rail got money for the show by promising Kev was going to be there for a meet and greet the next day. And then he planned to leave before they discovered that Rail had no relationship to Kev. But Kevin Hart's tweet, it blew his whole cover. Come to find out, man, Rail received about $8,000. And at the time, Kev, he was doing arenas and huge theaters. There's no way he's going to do a meet and greet for 300 people in a club in South Carolina. And I had to take a look at myself because I actually believed that this could happen. It was a real awakening about just where I was in the game of comedy.
The club owner is saying, you played us. And, they accused us. They said, y'all know he ain't no Kevin Hart brother. I said, I thought he was something, his cousin or something. And when they came out, it sounded stupid. I said, excuse me. Do we all not see this man with a gun out? And I was serious. I was getting upset. Like, why do you have a gun out on comics?
The one-armed guy is like, yo, you don't need to worry about that. We all seen guns before.
Oh, my goodness. We are dealing with people who are not worried about firearms. I'm serious. This is like, we're done. So, elevator door opens up. The security guy was with the club owner. They make their way to the elevator. And this is where it gets really, really scary.
They still got real stuff. I was definitely feeling nervous. I'm never like the tough guy that stands up for everybody. That's why I worked in collections. That's why I did telemarketing. I don't like doing tough stuff, man. And I feel bad because I brought these guys down there. So I walk over to the elevator and stand in the doors before they shut. And I say, hey, you all can't leave. So when I get nervous, I like put my hands in my pockets. And when I got my hands in my pocket, man, I'm like, hey, we need that ID. We need these keys. We can't go home without that.
Like, to be honest with you, at this point, I really wanted to bail. This is a bad situation. I'm old enough to know that this is not going to go well. And this guy is itching. This guy doesn't like funny. I'm watching a gunman. Like, at this point, I'm staying because it's Lamarr in there.
And the owner looks at me with my hands in my pocket and looks over at the security guard and says, hey, I don't know what this guy is doing with his hands in his pockets. The club owner was like, you already took a picture of it anyway. I'm like, took a picture of it? What? I really don't understand what they was talking about. But later, I saw what they meant about the picture. They had broken into Rel's hotel room and took a photo of Rel while he was sleeping in the bed with the ID right next to his face. They posted it online with a caption that read, beware of janky promoters. But at the time, standing in the elevator, I just knew they'd gotten what they needed. So they actually give me the keys and the ID. And they went down the elevator. I'm like, good day, gentlemen. Now we're left with the dude with one arm missing and the other guy with him. The one-armed guy happens to be a bail bondsman who has some sponsorship in the show. And the other dude is a promoter from Georgia. And they're still talking to Rel about possible deals. They're still optimistic about future engagements.
And they told Rel this is still salvageable. And I'm saying to myself, let's go. Like, we're done with this. They say, man, can you deliver something? What about Mike Epps? And he was like, I could do Mike Epps. And I almost threw up. I was that sick at that point.
Now they're all talking about whether Mike Epps is going to come down here. And now it is time to go. We just want to get on the road and get back home.
And we just went down to Bottom Hotel and, packed up and we left. It was over, man. It was over.
This ride home is a lot different from the ride up. The mood was down. We didn't feel like rock stars anymore. I'm pretty sure Rel is embarrassed at this time. He's not saying a damn thing. No one asked him about it either. It's just like a quiet ride back.
We were quiet. That's all I remember.
Quiet. That was the quietest ride. Woo. Yeah, I've been trying to forget these moments of my life for a long time.
So as a kid, I just wanted to go ahead and get a bag. I just wanted to get cash by any means necessary. After this trip, seeing how the scammer actually scanned something that I care about at the expense of yourself, your own reputation, and the comedians that are with you. It's just like, wait a minute, I can do this the right way. When I got out of the car that night, I reached for my comedy Bible. And I noticed I don't have it in my bag. So, I'm looking again, I'm like, Rel took it. He was the only one that could take it. Not only did you steal my time and my dignity, but you stole my comedy Bible. So I pick up my bag, I walk to the side of the door, I just look at that wrapped vehicle with his face on it. No goodbyes, none of that. I just slammed the door.
Did you ever find out later how Rel got that Facebook photo with Kevin?
I'm pretty sure he got that at the Laugh House Comedy Club where Kevin Hart started. Kevin's very approachable. Kevin Hart takes pictures with fans all the time. But I have a real picture with Kevin Hart. Yeah, years later, I got a phone call. They said, I need you at Punchline Comedy Club tonight. There's a special event. I get there, Kev's there. And I'm opening up for Kev. My heart was racing and everything just to see this guy and just to know that, hey, do you know that I was on a flyer with you before? He told me he likes my set. I didn't keep the conversation too long. I took a picture with him, hugged up, just like how Rel was on his picture.
Big thanks to Lamarr Todd for sharing his story at the Snap. Lamarr Todd is a stand-up comedian and a featured judge at First Person Arts in Philadelphia. You can find out more about his tour dates and current exploits on Instagram and X. We'll have those links in our show notes. Matt Black and Ken Jones, they are also lighting up comedy stages around the country with links to all things Matt and Ken in the show notes as well. The original music for that story was by Clay Xavier. It was produced by Justin Kramon. Now, after the break, we're headed to Honolulu for a tour and a takedown. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Snap Judgment. My name is Glenn Washington, and some of you will recognize our next storyteller, Lopaka Kapanui. He's a regular on our sister show Spook, but today Lopaka is here to share a different type of tale. No monsters involved. It's a Saturday night back in 2001. Lopaka has just arrived at his job, a guide on a ghost tour. He's got a bus full of tourists who have paid good money to be driven around town and told stories about the hauntings and legends of Honolulu. But there's just one problem. Snap Judgment.
I'm walking on the bus, and my stomach's in a knot. My mouth is dry. My dilemma is this. I'm not just a ghost tour guide. I'm a professional wrestler. My wrestling name at the time is Johnny All Black. And I have a wrestling match that I have to go to. My boss's secretary, when I would have wrestling matches, I would tell her, try not to schedule me on this particular Saturday, I've got a match. And so up until then, it worked out. But on this particular night, I let her know that I needed that night off, and she scheduled it anyway. So now I'm screwed. Everyone's on the bus. Richard, the driver, looks at me and says, "Are you ready?" Richard has started the bus. We're rolling out of the parking lot. Normally, the first stop is the old Wako Tea House, where people see the Japanese waitress in the white kimono with no face. The second stop is on the foundation of a massive temple of human sacrifice. The third stop is the oldest Chinese cemetery in the islands. And I look at this full bus of people sitting there. I'm basically figuring, what's worth it? Missing the wrestling match and just doing the tour and keeping this job? Or do I do the match, not do the tour? The ghost tour job pays more. And, I was brought on by my mentor to take over these tours because he was moving on to other things. And he's not just my mentor, he's like my father figure, and he depends on me, so I can't let him down. And I can't let down the old man who's booking the show, because this match tonight with this kid, Kaimana, is the culmination of several matches to get this kid to where he needs to go. He's going to be the face, he's going to be the ace of the company, carry the business. I am the bad guy. I'm the ultimate bad guy. I'm the ultimate heel. And I put in all this time, work, effort to get him to be the guy that everybody loves. And if I don't show, my reputation is done. So I can't bail out on that either. And so I decide right then and there. I grab the microphone, take a breath, and say, "Folks, I have a situation. I'm booked for a wrestling match right now. I can't get out of it, and I can't get out of doing this ghost tour, so we are going to go to that wrestling match. there was a tourist couple. They were middle-aged from Wichita. I specifically remember their facial expressions, like wide-eyed, mouth open, looking at me and then looking at each other, and I could see them mouth the words, "This is crazy." There's nervous laughter. I said, "Unfortunately, my friends, I'm not joking. This is what's going to happen." And we're on the way. This route is new, modern, swank places mixed together with older places, mom and pop stores, hula stores that sell grass skirts and all those things, old Polynesian-type restaurants. But at that point, those things are not important to me. It's the last thing I care about. All I'm worried about is please, 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 no red lights. People are asking me questions, which I can't really answer because I'm on the phone with the booker and, trying to get us there on time. So I put my finger out, just emphasizing to them that I don't have time for questions because we have 30 minutes to get there. Normally I get to a match anywhere from an hour to 2 hours ahead of time. So I'm on edge. My fists are clenched tightly. We got to get there. Finally, we get to the venue. The door to the bus opens, and I've got 5 minutes. I called on the cell phone from the bus to the venue, worked it out, and I say to the people on the bus, get in, sit in the front row. I'm going to go downstairs, talk to the booker. Going to come upstairs, slide into the ring, beat the guy up. 1, 2, 3, get the pin, get the belt, get out. As soon as I'm out of the ring, you guys go back to the bus. I'll be there in a couple of seconds, and we'll start the ghost tour. There's a lot of, oh my gods, what the hell's? Like, this is actually happening. But I'm already running through the parking lot, into the door, and downstairs to the locker room. The promoter and the booker and Kaimana see me running down the stairs, and they're yelling at me, "Son of a bitch, let's go!" So I get to my locker room, the heel locker room. Kaimana goes to the good guy locker room. The booker and the promoter, they're giving me what the stink is, what the rundown is going to be, very quickly. Normally I'm in my Johnny All Black getup, spandex tights, shoot boots, knee pads, a black shirt that says Johnny All Black, Technical Spectacle. And I was a big Motley Crue fan back then. I loved Nikki Sixx, so yeah, I wore the Nikki Sixx mullet. That was part of the costume. But tonight, I only have the mullet. There's no time, no costume. I just got to work out the match in the locker room, head straight into the ring in my Ghost Tour Guide getup. Jeans, Doc Martens, and an overshirt. The promoter and the booker, with much disgust, just waved me out of the locker room as if to say, just get the hell out of here and just go do your thing. I walk up the steps, just inside the doorway so nobody can see me, and I wait for my entrance music to come on. The gym itself is pretty huge. It's packed right up to the rafters. From where I'm standing, I can see the people on the Ghost Tour. I see them all in the front row. And Kaimana's already in the ring. He's wearing this sleeveless sheer top with these pleather pants. He's saying into the mic, "I am not leaving this ring until Johnny All Black gets out here." The crowd is totally behind him 100%. Kaimana, Kaimana. I have never gone into a match with this little preparation. It's never happened. But I'm doing my best to channel the energy of Johnny All Black and who he's all about. He comes from a life of hard times. Nothing's easy, has to live hand to mouth. Johnny All Black's mantra went like this: I have a bad attitude, and I piss battery acid. That's what I'm saying again and again. a bad attitude and I piss battery acid. I have a bad attitude and I piss battery acid. I have a bad attitude and I piss battery acid. And then music hits. The song I used back then was Lenny Kravitz, Are You Gonna Go My Way? That's the cue. And I run out to the ring. People are screaming at me, calling me all these horrific names, just horrible things. My thing was to ignore them because Johnny All Black is too good to acknowledge these kinds of people. Kaimana has a chair and he's going to hit me with it, and I kick it into his face. And I shoot him off the rope and I give him a spinning heel kick, send him out. The crowd is hot, and they hate me. I'm still getting all those really horrific names, but I'm doing my job. That means I'm doing my job. Those poor people on the Ghost Tour, their faces are just disbelief. To see their ghost storyteller guy, in the ring, beating the crap out of this kid. They're completely shocked. And then the bell rings. But the scenario is, my character doesn't realize there's this other kid who's in there who's got this mask on with these horns. His character was called the Chronic Kid, Kronic. He's the guy I'm supposed to pin. It was supposed to be a setup. He attacks me. I give him these Jet Li wushu kicks to the stomach, to the head, and grab him around the waist from behind, pop my hip up, and go back into an arch, a bridge on my head. This is called a German suplex. I get the pin, 1, 2, 3. The kid rings the bell. He's banging on it. And the announcer at the announcer's table over the mic.
And your winner and still champion, Johnny All Black.
I've already got my belt. I get out, fight through the crowd because there's still people calling me names. I got to head downstairs really quick, hand over the belt to the booker, get up those stairs, and get out to the parking lot to start this ghost tour. I got back to the bus, catching my breath. Richard is sitting in the driver's seat, hiding his head in the steering wheel, just shaking his head and just shoulders shaking because he's trying to stifle his laugh. But the people on the ghost tour are sitting in stunned silence. I grabbed the microphone and I said,
So now, is anyone going to give me any problems tonight?
The entire bus erupts and goes, no! And then I say,
let us proceed to the ghost tour.
When the bus gets back and people are getting off, the couple from Wichita, they come up to me and they're just wild and laughing and actually giving me hugs and thanking me for a great experience. They never in their life thought they would come on a ghost tour that would take you to a wrestling match first. And they said it's the best tour they've ever been on. And so I was relieved. But after it's over and they leave, Richard, the bus driver, looks at me and says, so you can never do that again, right? I said, yes, I know.
Thanks to our friend Lopaka Kapanui for sharing his story with the Snap. Not only did Lopaka pull off the ghost tour, but he still leads tours in Honolulu today. You can find out more at mysteriesofhawaii.com. And if you want to hear some of Lopaka's stories from the dark side, head on over to our evil twin sister show, Spooked. The original score was by Renzo Gorio. It was produced by Zoe Frigno. Now, if you missed even a moment, know that the Snap Judgment Storytelling Podcast is firing on all cylinders right now. With our sister show, Spooked, amazing tales from the African continent with Mind Your Own storytelling history created with each episode available right now. Wherever you get your podcast, KQD in San Francisco is where we lay our heads. Snap is brought to you by the team that would never, ever, under any circumstances, pull the Uber producer Mark Risich's finger when he asked them to pull his finger. Now there's Nancy Lopez, Pat Mesiti-Miller, Anna Sussman, Renzo Gorio, John Facile, Shayna Shealy, Teo Ducat, Flo Wiley, Bo Walsh, Marissa Dodge, David Exime, and Regina Bediaco. And this is not the news? No way is this the news. In fact, you might have to temporarily slash prices for your hair-cutting hustle after an unfortunate Afro mix-up, and you would still, even then, not be as far away from the news as this is, but this is PRX.